and today we are doing a rendering tutorial. This is our base we are going to work with. I like to draw my bases very simple. These are some examples. I like having dots to base out the shapes and then sculpting out on top. We will be working with three main layers. The base for the base coloring, the sketch, aka also the line art, and the rendering, which you can do a bunch of layers of, but I'm just going to keep it simple with 3 layers today. You can change the sketch color going onto our render layer. For the sketch, I like to use Lofty and Waratah, and for the rendering, I like to use just a thick normal brush. And I like to use a square, but round ones are also totally fine. On your render layer, take your shading color and just sort of start mapping out how you want your colors to sort of lay with the light pink and the darker pink. We can also start going over the sketch to map it out. Same with the skin. While I clean up, I also like to reinforce lines that I might be sort of taking away. And because we used a sort of pencilish color, they are sort of like grainy and you get multiple colors throughout this when you zoom in. So when you randomly click, you can get a lighter or darker one. Great for using as shadows or lighter points. We can also redefine shapes during this process in the way we want. Literally going over the sketch and the underlayer. Look at the difference that cleanup already made. You can also go just like in between these right two lines to get an in-between color. And using that as a sort of transition between dark and light. And this is now a separate piece that is as its own lock of hair, sort of. And by repeating this process, it can be a bit dull. What I love to do is taking the color you have and sort of taking it either to the blue set to like the colors next to it and making it a little bit lighter or darker or more bright. And just by that, you get a lot of variation to put in certain corners and make it a bit more playful to the eyes. As you do this, don't forget to not over render it, because doing so can sort of confuse your brain and just not know where to look. So it is important to keep your main shadows and stuff in the right place. But see, that's the same color as the line art, which is kind of too intense, which you can do, but that's just not my art style. So I'm going to create a more shadowy color, and that we can use instead of the line art for the darkest spots, like here and here. Like I said, you can also go a bit blue with it and use both. I like using both instead of just one or the other. And then go in between again. Take that same color, put it in a different spot that needs more shading. Taking this color and making it a bit lighter, but maybe a little bit yellow. Or just like a completely different color, and then putting like a light pink back into it, like this, to sort of make it match. And that is already such a big difference. The face is almost the same, it's just a bit more shaping and 3D, I feel like. Taking another blush color, I'm going near the eyes. The nose and the eyes are the most blushed colors. I personally like the eye, making the eyes the most blushed more. This color is sort of like a brownish purple that is perfect to, it's a perfect mix of this type of color and this type of color. Still dark, but more realistic to the skin tone that you're using. And I love just going over it. For instance, taking this color, making the lips, and then taking this one, making a line, and then you already have like your basic lip shape, sort of. Working a little backwards also works, like that. And You can always sculpt it and adjust it and just go over it and change it to however you want throughout the drawing. Taking the lightest color we have, I like to sort of create these under thicker lip part, and we are going to shape the face to however we want. I like pushing it out a little bit and then going back with the liner to go it back in. Just we're sort of shaping the face now. Taking an established color and making the opacity lighter is also a great way to keep things cohesive. Don't forget to do the nose. As you can notice, we're kind of going in with smaller brush strokes now rather than the big main ones and sort of detailing everything out. The eyes kind of got lost in the process, and don't forget you can just go back over and just fill them in however you want. Don't forget to add back the whites of the eyes and the eyebrows, and then changing the eye color. Going in with a pencil or a gruffier brush to get in some of that texture is always also fun. Adding in parts of the clothes into the eyes for a pop of shine is also always fun. Obviously, this is a bit different from how I normally draw, and it looks a bit different from how I normally draw since I was explaining throughout it. But, yeah, I think it's a pretty good way of showing you a little simplified way of how I draw, generally speaking. Let me know if you think I explained something too little, or you would like a more detailed version, or just have some more questions about something. I will be sure to answer them. By the way, the app I use is Procreate. If you have any questions or interest to commission me, go ahead. My messages are always open. If you stayed until the end of the video, put down these emojis. Thank you so much for being here. Bye!